Hey everybody! Have you all heard of a little game called Mega Man? Yeah, it was a really great franchise back in the day, wasn't it? Yeah. Know a new game called Mighty Number 9? Oh yeah, hell yeah, we know it. Well, do you like it as it is? Well, that's hard to say, because if you really like Mega Man, then chances are you may actually not like this new game called Mighty Number 9. But that's what we're coming to talk to you all about today here on the Game Riffers. So hi, yes, welcome to another brand new episode of the Riff Table Arcade, where this time around we're going to be talking about our final thoughts on Mighty Number 9, the KickStarter game that saw so many delays since last year, and it finally released last week, and we can finally talk to you all about that. But before we get along and talk about this topic, I am Double RPG, and joining me is my co-host, FighterXaos.
Hello, everyone, and oh god, I'm gonna sneeze.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, good. Oh, man, you almost made me have a heart attack there. No, I'm just kidding. It's like, you say you got to sneeze. It's like, oh no, is he going to have an epiphany? I'm about to have a heart attack. Not anyway. No laugh. No laugh.
All right. I'm just imagining you as McBain. That's the joke.
That's the joke.
You suck, McBain.
But how are you doing this week, my friend?
Oh my god, I have been just busy. Oh my god, after this, I'm just gonna go back to work. But busy on what I've been calling a brand split. That's all I'm gonna say about it, because I kind of want to. If you find this floating around and you know it's me, you'll know it's me. But I'm not gonna publicly say, "Hey, check that out."
Yeah. If you guys manage to find it, then good job. And if you know what he's talking about, then kudos to you even more.
Yep. If you know what I'm talking, if you don't, well, just it's pretty obviously gonna be me. If you know me, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like I said, especially if you see the name of what I'm gonna put out, I was like, oh, that's obviously him. Also,
yeah. Also, what?
I thought we were playing too.
What were you playing?
Project Cross Zone 2.
Oh, okay. Still playing that? Haven't beat it yet?
No, I've been taking it real slow with that game. Only because of I've been working.
I haven't even gotten to that game yet. I still haven't even beat the first one, and that just shows you how far along I am with that.
That's how I was just a while ago. I was playing through I had part 1 sitting there for 3 years, dude.
Uh-huh.
And I only beat it right just before part 2 came out in the U.S. Is when I beat part 1.
I envy you so much, since I've been working on my Final Fantasy retrospective, which, speaking of which, I finally...
both got these projects.
I know. Which, finally, I got started with capturing footage of Final Fantasy VIII, and I'm recording it through the PC version.
Funny enough, it's like how we talk about video games so much, and yet it's like, hey, you guys actually played the games? Like, nah, we're working. We're adults now.
Yeah, I mean, when you're an adult, it's kind of hard to play games nowadays, but if it's something that's project-related, then yeah, you can definitely find some joy in actually playing those games.
I even rebought Final Fantasy Type 0 and Sleeping Dogs.
Yes, he did, and he actually mentioned this on his Facebook, too.
And I've touched Sleeping Dogs, but I haven't touched Final Fantasy Type 0. I haven't even beaten Uncharted 4.
Damn, man.
My dad... The time it's taken me to beating it, my dad's already beaten it 3 times.
Uh-huh.
Matter of fact, he was just playing it a few hours ago online. He beat it on normal, easy, normal, and crushing.
Your dad's a god when it comes to that game, it seems.
Oh my god, he is super... in the rankings of Uncharted 3, he was ranked 500th out of how many millions of players play that game?
Really? He's in the top. He's in the top 1,000.
Yeah.
Dang. He's, like I said, he's definitely a god when it comes to that game.
It's like you think he doesn't play, but when it's a game he actually cares about, nah, son.
But, aside from the game we're about to talk about, I have been playing more Final Fantasy VIII on the PC, which I'm capturing footage for, and definitely think it was a good choice, too, because of how much compression and how much good quality there is with the footage that I'm capturing. I'm actually using Screen Recorder to actually capture the footage, even though the game is in 720p, but, hey, I'm really not complaining that much.
You'll see benefits, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, there's really good benefits to it.
To the quality.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I managed to get past the Fisherman's Horizon first meeting, and now I'm on the world map with Balam Garden as a mobile fortress. So I'm traveling on the world map now.
Which disc? Was that 1 or 2?
That was 2. It's right before I go back to Balam, where I fight against Fujin and Raijin.
Oh, I remember that fight, yeah.
Yeah, so I completed halfway of the second disc per se, but I'm just currently right now I'm trying to get some collectibles so that way I can upgrade my character's weapons as well as getting some cards through Triple Triad that I missed out on that I want to try and get.
I suck at that game, Triple Triad. I love it, but I kept. Oh my god, same with Gwent. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, I think I do better at Gwent.
Oh, yeah. But with Triple Triad, I mean...
It has to do with directions, and I'm like, what? Like
when you get the first set of cards through that game, I mean, Triple Triad, when you're in Balam Garden for the first time, when you get the first set of cards from that guy on the second floor, you know you're going to get boned playing a Triple Triad game. You got to wait until you get both the Ifrit and Diablo's card before you can actually start pummeling your opponents.
Yep. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. I did too. And currently... I'm collecting a lot of cards. I'm in Deling City trying to get some of the rare cards that are there.
You just gave me an idea. Final Fantasy VIII is my personal favorite.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a bunch of fan art now to try and get my name out there. I have not drawn Quistis.
Oh, Quistis Trap.
Everybody's favorite Meganical. That's Weeb for Glasses Girl.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, when she's a seed instructor, yes, but when she's out in the field, she doesn't have any glasses at all.
Yeah, she takes them off.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the one game which I think everybody did not like Squall at first because of his cynical and introverted attitude.
Everybody, I still have a action figure of Squall.
A Play Arts figure?
Nah, it's a lower quality one.
Oh, I see.
Although the sculpt is pretty good, you know what I mean? Toys R Us.
Mm-hmm.
When I was like 10. A lot of people, I don't know if they were like me back in the day, who thought they just thought Cloud would come back because they didn't know how Final Fantasy worked.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's also a reason. Like, where's Cloud? Because I know I wasn't the only one who was like that at first.
Yeah.
Until I actually played it and like, I actually like this better.
Yeah, and when I looked at Final Fantasy VIII for the first time a long time ago through like preview material, it's like, who are all these characters? They're all brand spanking new.
Yep. Because we didn't know that each Final Fantasy was its own thing.
Yeah, it's basically a new game is like a reboot in a sense.
We did not know that.
But it goes in its own tangent, basically.
I always like the character models in 8 more. I don't care because the 7 ones, they look like deformed puppets.
They look like anime figures, and the original game did.
They look.
Whereas the later material, they went for that more
Cloud's
figure.
little character model one. He looked like, I thought he was a donkey. I thought those were hooves.
Which one? The chibi model or
the chibi.
Oh, you think he looked like a donkey?
I thought he had hooves for hands.
Oh,
I was like, what is this?
Okay. Now I see. Now I see where you're coming from. Yeah, that.
I mean, I like chibis, but those are ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, we could say probably back then we were like, oh, they're 3D.
What would that make Barrett a bear, basically? Or does he have bear claws as hands?
Oh man. Because that's why I liked 8. I was like, look at these character models actually look like humans.
Yeah, it felt for its time. It actually felt more like a finished type of product.
Nothing against
you know,
Shimmy
with
because I like
the
Roll
vision
Final
of
Fantasy.
the art, like the art style, the gameplay, the story of everything that they were wanting to achieve with that game. I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah.
And you know, when playing through that game again, I was like, it's like I haven't even beaten that game for like nearly 20 years. And it's like a really weird feeling for me having to come back and play that game in full. But then when I start, you know, as I'm going through the game, I kind of remind myself why I actually liked it in the first place.
One last question before we have to say bollocks to each other.
Yeah, just because of the story. But anyway,
if you don't know, bollocks is our phrase to say we're going off tangent.
Yes.
There was one question I had to ask though before we bollocks each other.
Okay.
Did you like the junction system or did you like 7 better on that part? The summons and junk.
The junction system, I would say, in retrospect, it was very awesome for the time. But looking at it now, it's I kind of have mixed feelings about it.
That's how I am too.
I mean, it's a very unique way of how to make your characters customizable, especially with the Guardian forces that they can equip because they have the junctions for the different stats. And when you get 100 points or 100 uses of a magic-based spell, you can actually junction it to your stats, and it gives you all sorts of customization to your strengths and stuff. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. But when looking back at it now, it's just like I am very mixed about it. I mean, you're very limited with the number.
It's cool, but I thought it was kind of overcomplicated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It did make it overcomplicated. I felt that it made that feature very repetitive in the game. Since you're needing to get stronger to get to the end and even go up against the super boss Omega.
Yep.
Yeah, which again, I can't stand that boss with the passion of 1,000 suns or 1,000,000 suns because if you don't know how to beat Omega, then you're boned. And the only way I
did as a kid was using Game Shark.
Well, I didn't use Game Shark, but what I used is there's only one spell that you need. Oh, no, 2 spells that you need. One character has to have the triple spell, so that way they can cast magic 3 times. The other spell that they need to have is Aura. And for Aura, that will give you a stronger probability of executing limit breaks. And the one item that you need is called Holy War, and that will make all your characters invincible. And you got to make sure that you do that about every few minutes or so that way you can stay invincible, and you still have plenty of time to actually make sure that you can get your limit breaks executed, so that way you can actually execute them at a more rampant pace and make sure that they have all the ultimate weapons on them, because you want to make sure you're using Lionheart Squall's final limit break to its fullest, because that will actually do a crap ton of damage to Omega. But I pretty much use Squall, Zell, and Renoa when fighting that boss. But yeah,
now bollocks.
Yeah, now bollocks. But anyways, I'm done on my end. But yeah, I'm capturing footage for it now. But I'll be still capturing footage of it more and hopefully get on to Final Fantasy IX soon after I beat it. But anyway, let's not waste any time and let's talk about the one game that I've actually been playing as of recent and then just finally came out after a year of delays. A year of 3 delays. When it was originally supposed to come out in April of 2015.
That's like 2 years then, isn't it?
No, 1 year, because it was supposed to come out in
1 full year.
April.
Okay.
The Kickstarter was announced in I think it was sometime in the second half of 2013, and then the estimated release date was going to be in April of 2015.
Wow.
But now it's June of 2016, and it's been over a year since the game has been in development hell since then because of other things and that kind of stuff. But yes, Mighty Number 9. It is the first game that is developed and published by Keiji Inafune's own game development studio, Comcept. And it's supposed to be the spiritual successor to Mega Man, since we have been suffering a huge drought of any brand new Mega Man titles that have come out after Mega Man 10 released on the WiiWare, the PlayStation Network, and Xbox Live Arcade in 2010. And then, of course, with the Kickstarter, I mean, not the Kickstarter, but the cancellation of both Mega Man Universe and Mega Man Legends 3, many thought that the Blue Bomber was going to face a very grim future. And not only that, with Keiji Inafune leaving Capcom to start his life all over again in game development with his own studio Comcept, yeah, it didn't seem like we were going to get a Mega Man game anytime soon because of how anal Capcom has been during the first half of this decade, the 2010s era. But yeah, we finally got a game called Mighty Number 9, the spiritual successor to Mega Man. And Jerry, have you actually played the game at all?
Nope.
Okay, so it looks like I'm the only one who's played it, and I will deliver my final thoughts at the very end of the game. But let's talk a little bit of the history of Mighty Number 9 and how it was conceived. Keiji
Inafune decided he needed money.
Well, if you were to sum up the story in that small consensus, then yeah, that's basically how it went. So. Thank you, Jerry. But anyway, continue where I left off. So, yeah, Keiji Inafune started Comcept so that way he can bring about his own company and work on brand new games under his belt to where he wouldn't have to face any restrictions or anything from, say, a big and more well-known publisher like Capcom. And the first project he announced that he was going to put out for Comcept was the spiritual successor to Mega Man, and it's called Mighty Number 9. And Mighty Number 9, you play as an android named Beck, who is codenamed is Mighty Number 9, and you go through this game that's basically, straight up like Mega Man, if any of you are very interested in that kind of thing. So, yeah, Mighty Number 9 is basically the new Mega Man of this day and age. So he had a Kickstarter in the second half of 2013, and he was only asking for about somewhere around the $700,000 range to develop the game. But he managed to get in so much support because of so many people who felt burnt out without there being any Mega Man games in the works. So he actually managed to get 4 times the amount, or somewhere over 4 times the amount of what he was originally trying to achieve. And he managed to achieve over $4 million through Kickstarter and PayPal combined. And some of the stuff that he promised for the game to actually bring about were the full game itself, as well as some modes like online mode and even online races and, mission modes and that kind of stuff, and even some playable characters like Beck and his partner Call, which is supposed to be the role of the Mighty Number 9 franchise, but sounds a bit more like a robot instead of actually like a human being, which the robots in Mega Man, they managed to portray themselves in having more personality. But it's not to say that Mighty Number 9 actually has that either, but they actually do have it for the Mighty Numbers at least. But when it comes to Call, she sounds more robotic than just human, if you get my meaning. But yeah, so a lot of the stuff that we actually seen in Mighty Number 9, we were expecting that was what was going to be brought about in the final product. And even to go along with the crowdfunder, the Kickstarter, they actually Keiji Inafune showed a concept image, and it looks like what he was aiming for was to be either an 8-bit, a 16-bit, or just a 2D hand-drawn game, which, honestly, I think that would actually sounded a lot more preferable.
Oh my god, I would have loved that.
Oh yeah, just that image of what he showed as a concept image of what the type of style he wanted to originally go for in the game. And for those of you who don't know, we'll definitely put the picture on the screen, which I'm showing you right here. But I already know that Jerry knows what I'm talking about.
I remember that concept art. I think I used that for a wallpaper for a while. Mm-hmm. I was so looking forward to that game, and it's like, we're gonna use 3D models. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and that really...
For the development period, you could have made it hand-drawn 2D if you're going to take that long anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just like, when looking at the game, it's like, I think it actually would have been a lot more preferable if they just went with that 2D concept image of what they originally envisioned, because, for something like Mega Man, that actually works.
But, and I'm just a sucker for high-res 2D hand-drawn art. Like, I mean, I love all those Vanillaware games, so...
Yeah.
Odin Sphere and Muramasa and Dragon's Crown.
Oh, yeah. And even...
Those look so beautiful, and they're all just 2D hand-drawn.
The Boy and His Blob remake, and even Shantae Half Genie Hero, which is coming out.
Is that coming?
Which is another Kickstarter game.
That's for PlayStation?
That's for all consoles
Oh, sweet.
from last gen and even current gen. Yes.
I like Shantae too.
Mm-hmm. But even though Keiji Inafune managed to achieve great strides with the Kickstarter and actually bringing back development of this game, a lot of negative concoctions were starting to come soon after that. And one of those negative concoctions was a secondary crowdfunder that he announced because he wanted more money on some things he actually wanted to attribute more into the game, like having a voice cast in it, for instance. Which I don't have a problem with, but it's just, I'm like, really? You need to ask people for more money?
Here's where the thing starts with I know you'll get to that other project, but here's where people are starting to go, is he gonna make these games, or is he just asking for money like a shyster? What's his goal here? Some people are getting wary now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like people were getting very confused as like, why is Keiji Inafune need more money, even though he has enough to make what it is? Because, if you take a look at Yacht Club Games with what they did with Shovel Knight, they actually succeeded on their promise, and they used all they used up in their money that they achieved in their Kickstarter campaign.
And that game feels more like an actual successor to those action platform games.
Exactly. And it didn't. I mean, Yacht Club Games, they didn't try to ask for more money. They just went with what they did, and then they thought about post DLC after that. After making most of their money back from all the downloads and such. I mean, isn't that how a game is supposed to be? I mean, you test the waters with what you work on first, and then after it releases, and if you make most of your money back, then you can think about extra content later. So you figure that if Keiji Inafune would have stuck to his guns with working on Mighty Number 9 as is and released the game, in a much better state, you figure that, other things, maybe like even voice acting, like a patch for voice acting would be a viable option, or some extra
down the road, yeah,
and down the road and that kind of stuff. But nope, he couldn't resist the temptation to ask for more money for not only voice, to lend voice acting, but he also got too ambitious because of having the urge to actually make an anime out of Mighty Number 9, as well as trying to conceive a live-action movie and a CGI cartoon of all things.
That's where he went full. I don't know what's a good word for it.
Ambitious?
Money grubber? I don't know. Ambitious.
Yeah, greedy.
Greedy, like ambition, like untempered ambition. Like, dude, do one thing at a time. You're trying to bite more than you can chew. No, chew. Yeah, bite more than you can chew. I was thinking if that's the right phrase.
Yeah, bite more than you can chew.
Trying to take way too much. If you're doing things one at a time, see if Mighty Number 9 was successful, then do all that. Sure. But
yes,
you want before the game even came out.
Yeah, that's how franchising works. You gotta test something before you can actually think about including new things. I mean, focus on the game first, release it as is, and if it does really well to where you actually make a lot of sales, then think about other things, and even think about making it into a franchise. And apparently, Keiji Inafune didn't even see that because
he jumped the gun, man.
He jumped the gun way too much. Because he already made too much money as it is. He figured that, he's like, since people sent me enough of this money and since I feel like I could get more, I'm just going to ask for more off their hands. It's like, no, because that is reducing faith in your work, man. You're making people lose faith in you really quickly when you do something that negative. That's going to hurt them. I mean, I understand that you work in a business, but when you start a game that's a crowdfunder and you're asking for money at first to bring about what all you were given, it's like you should have worked with that.
What's that
from
phrase
day
called?
One.
Customer, like when you mentioned that people having faith in him. What's that called for businesses? Customer. Kind of like satisfaction, but it's not the word I'm thinking of.
Customer. Customer faith, or I can't even think.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, though.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Uh, it's like I use this at the job I'm at all the time to make sure that customers always come back to the store I work at. But
yeah.
If there's if there's a lack of customer service like that, then not a lot of people are going to have faith in you.
And then he does it again with another game that didn't even make it because people are like, "You're crazy."
We'll get to that very soon enough. But
okay.
But the other reason why the game started to not get a favorable reception towards a lot of people was because of the game's original community manager by the name of Dina was mistreating fans of Mega Man. The SJW that Comcept had. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Oh God, I remember her.
Yeah. Oh God, she. She totally.
You're trying to hold yourself back.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold myself back, but it's just the type of stuff that she did. I mean, what she did as a community manager, it's like, no, you don't do that to people who, you don't do that to people who actually, want a good game out of this. Even though Mighty Number 9 is supposed to be the spiritual successor to Mega Man, you don't make not only Mega Man fans, but you don't make gamers in general feel like utter crap with what you're, saying to them. But no, not Dina. Apparently she thought her opinion was more high and mighty than everybody else, and she thought that her ideas were considered fact and justice, hence the name SJW, social justice warrior that she was. But yeah, people were just getting fed up with how she was mistreating not only them, but also mistreating Mighty Number 9. The name itself, and how it didn't paint a really good picture for the brand, what was eventually going to become a brand anyways. So that led to her departure because of people getting really fed up with her. And wasn't she fired, or did she resign? I don't remember. I don't remember, but I thought I remember people saying that she got fired because of what she did. Anyway, like I said, don't remember. And not only that, but the game, as we said, was originally supposed to come out in April 2015, but it went through 3 delays. And the first delay was supposed to make the game come out in September 2015, but it got delayed again until February 2016. And then it got delayed the last time until June of this year, right now, this month. Now, I don't know why the first 2 delays were necessary, but I guess it's to include more polish. But the third one, I can understand to a degree. It was basically because the network infrastructures for the online modes for the game were not in really good shape right before the game was supposed to come out in February 2016. So he made that last minute delay. Now, I can understand that because, you want to make sure you have dedicated servers for your games, which is something that's been highly missing in a lot of games that have online stuff.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of games don't have dedicated. It's like, what the world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I could definitely understand that, but I think the other problem is that Mighty Number 9, with what they shown, during that whole time after the game was in somewhat of a playable stage, with the demo that they were actually giving to backers to play through Steam, it didn't even look like what the game was supposed to be. It ended up being more of a 2.5D side scroller, and its visuals just looked horrendous for an HD game. It just looked like It just looked like a horrified puppet show.
From what I've seen from people playing on YouTube, like if you're a wrestling fan, up, down, down. Xavier Woods, aka Austin's YouTube show.
Uh-huh.
And he was showing the game, and I saw some of it, and I'm like, what in the world? These ain't what?
Yeah,
this ain't current or last gen.
It looks like a PlayStation 2 game at best.
Yeah, it does. Which funny enough, people keep people keep talking about KOF looking like KOF actually looks better than that.
Yeah. It's like, for a game that managed to achieve a budget of $4 million, you figured it would look at least somewhat really good.
Shenmue has, what, $6 million? And even before that, Yu Suzuki already had a demo before reaching Dime 1. Mm-hmm. And he already had a concept that looked way better than that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes. And this is before he even reached Dime 1 on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. It looked amazing. It even looked like it was an HD presentation of some sort. But no, not Mighty Number 9. It looked like a 6th gen game. Looked like something you see on the PlayStation 2. And, and since there were Mega Man X games on the PlayStation 2 that actually used somewhat of a 2.5D fixture, I would even go as far to say that Mega Man 7 actually looks a lot better than Mighty Number 9, visual-wise.
Oh, shots fired. Probably
yeah.
So.
And when you take a look at the characters, you don't even see their mouths moving. They're not, even though they're talking, you don't see their mouths moving. So it's just like...
Oh, that's some PS1 stuff, then.
Yeah, that's I would say it's more like PSP stuff, if you were to put it in that context. Because I remember in the game Mega Man Powered Up that the characters, even though they talked, some of them didn't have their lips moving. And it was just weird.
MGS1 where Snake and them would talk and you just see their heads move but no lips moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exactly like that. And same thing with I would say Dissidia, but you can actually see their mouths moving, but it's a very basic motion and there's not really any expression in between, but but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's just like with Mighty Number 9, with what they achieved in terms of the visual style, it's like, what happened to what we saw from the concept image at first? How did that transform from that into what we currently got right now? I mean, with $4 million, you figured that the visuals would look like an HD game for today's standards. I mean, you take a look at a game with 2D visuals like Ori and the Blind Forest. That game looks a million times better than what Mighty Number 9 looks like right now. Even Mega Man X or Mega Man Maverick Hunter X looks better than Mighty Number 9.
It's true. Because I've had Maverick Hunter X, and that game looks way better.
Mm-hmm.
I still have it on my Vita.
Yeah, I still need to pick that game up again. I know it's really cheap, but it's just like I haven't really found a time to pick that up. But anyway, aside from the point, though, but yeah, so yeah, a lot of the game getting delayed a whole lot, it made a lot of people start to lose faith in the project even more. And not only that, there were even the trailers and the most recent one that came out, how it made fun of anime fans, too.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
That really pissed off people to the nth degree, or however you want to say it, because it seemed like it wasn't trying to achieve itself as a game trailer to present about hype. It just seems like they had this guy who was just explaining these things without any excitement. It's like, okay, yeah, it's just all there. So it's like, yeah, but what are you trying to do to actually make people excited? You're not actually trying to do anything to hype this game out. It's just like, yeah, it's all there, and besides, anime, blah 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 blah. It's like, oh god.
Cool voice.
And not only that, but Comcept actually asked Deep Silver to publish their game for them.
Wow.
It's like with Kickstarter games, you're trying to publish out your own games, not ask for their assistance.
Yeah, that's another thing they criticize Inafune on, that he wasn't being upfront, that he already did have publishers for this and the other game you're going to talk about. Like,
yeah, and which leads into the next thing, why people just got so uberly pissed off at Inafune. It was because around last year, when more of the delays were starting to take effect, Inafune announced a brand new game through Kickstarter. And it was about in the same level of concept imagery or concept footage of something he was trying to do as a spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends, since Mega Man Legends 3 didn't even get conceived, and that was Red Ash, the Indelible Legend.
And if you don't get the joke, Red Ash. Mega Man Legends is what in Japan?
Rockman and Dash.
Dash. So if you looked at it, it said Redash. It's like, oh my god. Oh wait, you don't even have anything to show for it. Yeah. Oh wait, you already have a publisher. Oh wait, you're also asking for an anime.
No. They don't have a publisher, but they actually did do a crowdfunder through Kickstarter, but they weren't making their goal, so they asked help.
Yeah.
From a developer in China to actually fund the rest of the game. It's like, okay, you just abused Kickstarter for no apparent reason.
You already had peeps. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, it's like, what was the point in actually trying to do a Kickstarter to begin with?
You already had people that would pay for it anyway.
Exactly.
And then he was trying to do an anime, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he wants to do an anime on that too.
Without the same thing we mentioned with Mighty Number 9. You can't do it all at once. You got to test the waters.
No, that's not how Kickstarter works.
You can't just do an anime without knowing if people are going to even like it. Like, based off a game without knowing if people are going to like the game.
Mm-hmm. So,
which leads me to... I just got to say, Hideki Kamiya. You know what he said about Inafune?
Oh, well, about Mighty Number 9, specifically?
He said it before Number 9 was even announced, and he mentioned it on Twitter, like before, either while Number 9 was announced or before all this happened. Even then, Kamiya said something along the lines of, paraphrasing, that Inafune is a con man.
Mm-hmm.
And this was before all the stuff where he kept asking for additional projects.
Yeah.
Kamiya already knew.
He even said that Mighty Number 9 looks like a clone of Mega Man, and it's a disgrace to that franchise and to Capcom.
Yeah, he did say that too, yeah.
Yeah, and that was...
sometimes I'm like, Kamiya, you get on my nerves, and sometimes I'm like, alright, you got that one.
But you do have a point. So So you could say he's kind of a hit-and-miss type of guy. Well, there are some things you don't agree with him, especially with his behavior, but when there's certain harsh realities that you actually have to agree with him on, especially with Mighty Number 9, what he said about it.
It's like a respect. It's like, I may not like you, but I respect you.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, after all those delays for about a year and 2 months, Mighty Number 9 finally releases on June 21st last week.
Right?
So everything except for 3DS, PlayStation Vita, Xbox 360, Mac, and Linux. Those are the only 5 versions that have not released for the game as of yet. It's available on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the PC, the PlayStation 3, and the Nintendo Wii U. And apparently the Nintendo Wii U owners are on the short end of the stick with that game because that game is broken as hell. And if you try to play the game as is, then your Wii U console could possibly get bricked.
Oh, great. That's the worst thing. Come on, like, it's one thing for getting that work, but for it to break your console too, like, come on.
Yeah, and I was originally going to go for the Wii U version, but when they did that last survey to fully determine which version you're going to get, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with PS4 instead, since I was originally going to get it through the physical medium. So I was like, you know what, I'll just get the download game. So I think I actually made the right choice. Because the PS4 version, it actually is smooth as butter.
Wii U.
Yeah, I would have had a bricked Wii U, that's for sure.
And that would have been a pain.
That would have been a pain. And
Nintendo, unlike the other ones, it ain't like Sony and Microsoft. Where it's just like, oh, you have a new console, just sign in again. Mm-hmm. Nintendo's like, oh, you got a new console, all right, call us.
But yeah, even after the game comes out, it still has not released on all consoles. Now, for a fact, we knew that the 3DS and Vita versions were being worked on by Abstraction Games, who were working on the ports for the Mighty Number 9. We knew that those games were going to be coming out later on, but it's like with the Max, Linux, and Xbox 360 versions, it's like, really? You're delaying those as well? Come on. But anyway, what were you going to say?
Funny if the 3DS and Vita versions are actually better because they're worked on by the Abstraction.
Oh my God!
If those are actually the best versions,
that would be a total slap in the face to Inafune, but it'd be like a total F you to Inafune.
It's like, you see, you should have just let us work on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Inafune.
God, what the hell are you thinking, Inafune? Anyways, Mighty Number 9, it finally releases, and yeah, the game, it pretty much plays out like Mega Man, and you could definitely say it's sort of a reboot in that sense, but done under a different type of franchise name. But you're not playing as a robot, you're playing as an android named Beck, and you have to go through 8 stages to defeat the quote-unquote robot masters, which are called the Mighty Numbers, since Beck is known as the ninth of the Mighty Numbers, so that's why they call him Mighty Number 9. And you go through the 8 stages, and then you try to figure out what the root of all the problems was being caused by, until you actually come face to face with that. I mean, it's not the same as if you're going up against someone who's like Dr. Wily, but I'm pretty sure they're going to save that for another game because they, establish some of the characters. But even then, the story itself is already confusing as hell. It's like they didn't really have time to put in a really good story. It's like they introduce these characters as like, okay, what's their importance to the plot? And it's like, okay, we understand these subplots, but why doesn't it get fully rectified? But then again, you only have the first game in the series that came out. But yeah, so you have that type of game that comes out. So if you want to know how it plays, think of it as like a Mega Man X game where you have an intro stage, and then you have the 8 Robot Master stages, and then you have either the 3 or 4 stages that basically covers either the Sigma stages or the Dr. Wily stages. In that context, or that layout with how Mega Man games have played in the past. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah, so it exactly plays like that. And you're even given the option to go through whichever Robot Master stage you want, because each Robot Master or Mighty Number will have a weakness against the others. But when playing through the game, it's like you really don't see there being any difference. So you can definitely see right off the bat that the game was only meant to be cater to the diehard Mega Man fan base, because they haven't got enough of their fill whatsoever. So there really isn't anything that distinctive or unique or very fun and intuitive that makes Mighty Number 9 stand out itself from Mega Man. It's just more like you're playing another Mega Man game all over again. And that's sad.
So it's just Inafune's like, this is all I know. Although I think Recore is, I don't know, I don't even know what to think about that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like yeah, it looks promising, but this is the same guy who he seems to bank on that. He can promise you something good, and then.
But then you got to remember why, when he was working at Capcom, why he was always bringing Mega Man game after Mega Man game every year.
Oh yeah, I remember that. There was actually people who were sick of Mega Man because of that. For a time, people were like, "We're burned out. We miss him." I was like, "Yeah, there was a time when y'all hated him."
Yeah. So that's basically what Inafune did during his time at Capcom, and it's basically the same thing what he did with Mighty Number 9. He was basically following in the same footsteps with what he did during his tenure at Capcom.
Do you know anything else,
and it's
Inafune?
Like, no, apparently he doesn't know anything else. So that's why a lot of people don't even consider him as an actual game designer, but they actually consider him more as a used car salesman of video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he only does more in the business side of things instead of actually the game development side of things, where in the game development side of things, he only just provides the concept designs of the characters, which exactly what he did for, the Mega Man and Mega Man X series. Well, at least for the first 3 games in both series, respectively, but still. And then with Mega Man 9 as well. But, it's like, he's not real, just looking from his stance, he's not really a game producer, but he's just more of a guy who works in the business, not in the development front.
Yep. He's a con man.
Yeah, it's like Hideki Kamiya said. He's a con man. He's not truthful. He
can talk a good game, but
and yet this guy is a guy who we had respect for quite a long time, because he says that the Japanese gaming industry is failing.
Right.
But he is just being completely asinine and being totally hypocritical.
Exactly, guilty of everything he said that's wrong with
yeah, because that totally makes him guilty for everything he said, because he's actually the exact epitome with what's wrong with Japanese gaming in general, while there are actual Japanese gamers he has criticized who are actually doing better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ironic.
What's that phrase? Do as I say, not as I do. That's him, basically. That's what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Hypocrisy,
And anyway, in Mighty Number 9, you play as Beck, and there's one level where you get to play as Call, who I mentioned again is the role of the Mighty Number 9 franchise, but sounds more like a robot. And there is one piece of Day 1 DLC that actually came for the backers who actually got the digital version of the game, and whoever got the physical version, they actually got the DLC on hand, and that is the Ray DLC, and you actually get to play as this character named Ray, who is supposed to be either an amalgamation of both Base and Proto Man, or supposed to be the Zero of the Mighty Number 9 franchise.
Bless you.
So yeah, you basically had the anti-hero type.
The Vegeta.
Yeah, the Vegeta. But with Mega Man X, Zero wasn't really an anti-hero. He was still considered die-on hero at all times, even though he said in the Mega Man Zero series that he didn't even, he didn't matter. It didn't matter whether if he was a hero or not. He would make sure that he would save those that he cares for and even protect people. But yeah, the core differences between both when you're playing as Beck and Ray is that Beck is standard Mega Man tradition, but when you're attacking enemies, you can actually dash into them when they're kind of in critical mode to actually absorb their cells or whatever, to actually obtain some of their hidden abilities, like some hidden temporary abilities like extra firepower or faster speed or even boosted up defenses. But with Ray, you actually Ray's health bar will go down every time when you're moving. Every second, the health bar will go down a cinch, and the only way to restore it is to keep attacking enemies, and you'll automatically absorb the cells into Ray's body in order to be fully have the character's health fully replenished. So it adds a bit more of a, I guess you could say, more in line for the core gamers who want more of a challenge. But I would say it's on the equivalent of Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10, where you're playing as Proto Man, where...
I gotcha.
Yeah, who's more powerful but takes more damage.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly. Mega Man 9. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days when I got nothing else to do, I should just download Mega Man 9 again and just see if I can beat it.
Yeah, it's just I want to play Mega Man 9 again so badly. That game's amazing. That even still amazing after at least 8 years ago. And there is online mode where you can actually do online co-op or even race through people online, as well as
online co-op.
Mm-hmm.
But no offline.
No offline co-op, sadly. No.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't either. And there's mission mode where you can actually play through a number of missions using Beck, as well as some that you can use Call, and I think you can even use Ray in some of the missions as well. But it's like the first few, they're basic missions, but the latter ones, they're more based on the levels. It's like if you can get through a stage this fast or without taking any damage, that kind of stuff, the challenge mode basically. So yeah, there is a mission, there's a challenge mode, a mission mode, an online mode, a lot of these things that you would actually expect to see in that type of game for even like a downloadable game such as that. You want those features to make sure that the mainstream are actually still playing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you, homie.
Yeah, but even after the game's release, the way how Inafune has been handling it has been pretty god-awful. But I will say that one thing I do respect him for is that with everything that's been handled in terms of some of the games not, being playable, or some of the versions not being playable, aka the Wii U version, he says that he is taking responsibility. He is making sure he's taking full responsibility to make sure that everything gets rectified so that nobody else will have this problem. And it's a good thing that, you say you're taking responsibility, because you say, no, even though I concede the game, I don't take responsibility. That's everybody else's job. It's like, yeah, you're going to get a lot of people wanting to come after your head, buddy. But but the other thing is that what I meant by how he's been handling the game since its release, why it's been abysmal, with all the complaints about how the game hasn't been running on some platforms perfectly, as there's been some hiccups in the frame rate, as well as ones that are breaking the console, mainly on the Wii U version, what he said about what he said about the game releasing as is just like how it's, doesn't have any version, have any things that are stripped down from the final release, and there's no microtransactions or any more DLC planned, even though there is that day one DLC for Ray. It's like he said, at least what you get as of right now, it's better than nothing, and I still haven't even got my fill of side scrollers. It's like, on one side of me, I say that he's right, but that's not the point why people are so upset about this game. A lot of the reasons what we talked about, like the franchising and doing the Kickstarter on Red Ash, those are reasons why people are so pissed off at you, Mr. Inafune. Because you got too greedy and you went too far with trying to actually make a franchise out of this when you haven't even focused on actually putting the game out as is. It's like, if you put more time with actually focusing on the game and actually making it look something of, by today's standards, then people would definitely have a second opinion of you. But no, you were actually doing all sorts of these things to actually keep your business afloat, and you didn't even release the game at an earlier time to actually make sure that it comes out, because you felt like you actually need to do all sorts of things to actually make Mighty Number 9 for what it is, but you didn't really... Mm-hmm. It's just like, what was the point in actually wanting to make a live-action movie? What's the point of actually making a CGI cartoon and even an anime?
If only he focused on the game first, then it would have been good, maybe. But, he would have actually put time into the game, and just the game. It would have been a good game, it would have had good word of mouth, and then you could have done the anime and stuff.
Exactly.
Make sure the game's polished. That was your main... It's like you're at a buffet, and you see the chicken that you want in the middle. See all this other stuff too, but what you want is right there. And see all this other stuff that you can't even hold with all your arms. And and you're starving. And instead of just taking the chicken and eating it, coming back for more, it's like he just grabbed his arm and tried to grab everything at once and just tried to walk off with it, even though it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, this is heavy.
Yeah, so, Mr. Inafune, I will say you are right to your opinion. You are right to have your own opinion, but I do agree with what you said about this game not launching with microtransactions or any DLC that's missing at launch or not stripping down any content. Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, I do respect the fact that you actually made this a full product game, but everything else with how you've been handling yourself as well as Mighty Number 9 has just been completely atrocious because of all the other things that I mentioned. So, yeah, it's like Inafune really got way too ambitious with this game, where especially in trying to make something out of it. I mean, that's not. I mean, even though you have experience in the industry, that doesn't always work. Trying to make something big, you got to start from the ground up with releasing something first to see if there's, if fans and gamers and consumers can warrant the need for more. I mean, that's how Mega Man actually succeeded back then. The first game came out, moderate success.
Word
great.
Of mouth.
Second game came out, even more a tremendous success, and people wanted more of that. And
it was a good game.
It was good gaming, and then a lot of other things started to come after many of those games were released. It's like that's how franchising works.
So you gotta make the main thing good first before you branch out, man.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, Jerry, you said that you haven't played the game at all?
I've only seen people on YouTube play it.
Okay.
It looks like... I was just like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's kind of fun looking, but boy, not what I was expecting at all.
Mm-hmm. So, since I'm the one who actually played through the game, the only campaign I played through was, of course, Beck's campaign, Mighty Number Nine's campaign, from beginning to end. And I will say that the game, it has good elements to it, but it definitely has a lot of issues. It definitely doesn't feel like it's a very polished existence. Like, there are times where there were some cheap deaths that occurred because there were some things that didn't even feel like it was fully polished, and it just didn't even feel that intuitive and easy to go through. Like, for example, some of the things, or like some of the abilities that you get, it's like you don't know how to do them until you actually go into the tips mode or whatever, and you try to figure it out yourself. And like that whole thing where you're actually shooting at the enemies to actually make them weaken to absorb them into Beck, it becomes way, way, way too repetitive. So basically, the game itself, and not to mention that the voice acting. I mean, I do like the voiceovers that you have in the game, but the voice acting for Mighty Number 9 itself, it's god awful.
That's disappointing to hear.
It's very god awful. I would say even the Japanese version actually does it better.
Is it like
justice.
Is it like 90s anime where they would say like you remember 90s anime dubs, right?
Oh yeah, it almost seems like that.
Hey,
too, when you
guys,
think about it.
We've got to find the MacGuffin.
So, you are all set then?
yeah, that's how they did it. Yep.
Yes, it's exactly like that.
Oh my God.
And that's how they and that's how they try to bank the trailers, is that they try to add like 80s and 90s attitude flair into them, when they should have realized that, they should have took more cues with doing, marketing for today's standards, and not tried to bank off nostalgia, because that's basically what Mighty Number 9 is. It's just banking off the nostalgia of Mega Man. But for what it is, the game, if you're a diehard Mega Man fan, I'm going to say this: you're actually going to find a lot of enjoyment you're playing it, because it will definitely insatiate your fix for more Mega Man. That I will say that much. But if you're, a gamer like me and Jerry, who are open-minded and are willing to try new things, you're not actually going to find a lot of anything new within Mighty Number 9, as it's just more of a love letter for fans to Mega Man, as I said. But is it really the worst thing that's ever been put out? No, it's not the worst thing that's ever been put out. If anything, gameplay-wise, even though I said that Mega Man X7's visuals look a lot better than Mighty Number 9's visuals, the gameplay is a whole different story. The gameplay in Mega Man X7 is, oh my god, it's just utter dog shit when compared to Mighty Number 9. At least Mighty Number 9, it actually feels like a game from what you're playing, in some regards. But overall, it's more of a mixed type of thing that I would recommend that you either rent at first, or just watch people's playthroughs online and then judge for yourself whether or not if you should try it out. But based on reviews and stuff from what fans have been saying, and what those have on Kickstarter have been saying, yeah, the game did not manage to live up to expectations and did not live up to the hype in the end. And that's very sad. And
Yep.
I was very bummed out by this too, because I was ready for something new within Mega Man. And
if it was that concept art style, man, I'd have been all over it.
Mm-hmm. If it stayed with that 2D concept art style, I think it actually would have, had better value in the end. But it is what it is. So, like I said, be the judge for yourself if you want to try it, but you think there's going to be a sequel? Most definitely there's going to be a sequel, in my eyes, because I'm pretty sure that Inafune wants to keep going with Mighty Number 9, despite what he inexplicably did wrong with the franchise as is in the first place.
One thing about that guy, he doesn't quit. He doesn't. Even if that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, he doesn't quit when it comes to. He doesn't quit when it comes to Mega Man style games, or Mega Man games in general. He doesn't quit. He makes sure that they come out regardless if sales are bad or if reviews are bad or whatnot. So yeah, I definitely think we're going to see a Mighty Number 2, but I think it's going to be more after Red Ash: The Indelible Legend is fully completed. Or unless
they make Red Ash.
Yeah, if they make Red. If they...
This guy, I don't know what he's doing. I don't trust any... That's the bad thing. That's another thing. You destroyed the trust of people. Like, people were... Now people like me just don't trust you for anything.
No. And then I guess we can all agree that Kickstarter projects such as Shenmue 3, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and Shantae Half Genie Hero are going to be a lot more promising when they release, because at least the developers on those games are being very faithful to their work and not trying to rip off consumers who back them.
It also kind of hurt those. At least it hurt Shenmue a little because of what Inafune was doing. People were like, "Oh, Yu Suzuki is doing the same thing. He's just gonna. He doesn't need the money, or where's his money come?" Where he had to make a freaking stream to show people what he's doing with the money.
Mm-hmm.
He had to do a stream and tell people, okay, no, here's what I'm doing. Here's okay, it's all cool.
Yeah.
He had to explain everything just so people would believe him, because people were burned by Inafune.
Exactly. So we can agree that those 3 Kickstarter games are going to succeed a lot better than what Mighty No. 9 did not succeed in. And for those of you who are doing game projects through Kickstarter and trying to get funding, make sure you pay attention to how Shovel Knight actually succeeded as a Kickstarter game, but also pay attention to how poor that Mighty No. 9 did as a Kickstarter game as well. Because you do not want to go in that same direction with what Inafune did. You want to pretty much did what Yacht Club Games did, and what Way Forward is doing, and what Yu Suzuki is doing, and what Koji Igarashi is doing for their respective games that they conceived through the crowdfunder website.
Also, a form of transparency would help.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing Suzuki and Igarashi did, that they were like, because like I said, because of Inafune, they were like, oh, are you gonna? They're like, no. We're actually using the money is for this, and that this is how we're using it. It's
And if it succeeds really well, then we'll definitely think about other possible things in the future for it. Like what Yacht Club Games did for Mighty No. 9, having the extra campaigns come in as free DLC, like the Plague Knight DLC.
You mean Shovel Knight?
Or Shovel Knight, whatever.
I was like, Yacht Club Games in Mighty No. 9? No, it would have actually been a good game then.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm pretty sure Yacht Club Games could actually do a much better job if they actually were to help with Mighty No. 9. But for all you guys, I'll let you be the judge whether or not if you actually want to play it. But if you're a diehard Mega Man fan, then you will definitely get your fix with it. And Jerry, would you buy it, rent it, or just say screw it?
Screw it at the moment.
So you don't think it's that good value for what it is? If it was
I might. I mean,
for like a PlayStation 4.
If it got, what's the price?
I think it's $30 for physical, but with digital it's $20.
Yeah, when it hits 15, let me know.
Or if it hits 10, I think it would definitely be at an even better value. But yeah, definitely. But it's not worthy of the current price at this time. And
yeah.
But yeah, if you're planning on getting it, just wait. Don't be a sucker like I did for actually funding the game through PayPal, even though I wanted a digital copy.
If you must blow your money because you just want to be poor, then check out Steam.
Exactly, and they have their
summer.
Yeah, they have their summer sale going on right now.
Yep.
And speaking of summer sale, I think I'm going to go check that out again pretty soon. But other than that, I think this is a good spot to where we can go ahead and we can wrap up.
We already had a good time.
Yeah. So, Jerry, you want to plug?
Yeah. Go follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/IkariRadio, IkariRadio. And follow the Twitter for my mixtape webcomic, that twitter.com/mixtaperandom. It was going to be mixtape comic, but some person took it that isn't even active on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Would you believe that? It's like, it's one thing, I was like, oh, somebody else made a comic that's called Mixtape. Nope. Some inactive user just decided to use it as a name.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to be Mixtape Random. And on that Twitter is in-character tweets from, like, my different characters on the comic.
Right.
So it's like, don't expect random wacky. Like if you see something really random, just go, oh yeah, they're in character.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook.com/FighterXaos, FighterXaos. You'll find everything there, including the webcomics and all that.
Cool.
And the project I'm working on, I won't probably link up, but it, like I said, it'll be on Tumblr. That's all. and when you if you see that Tumblr blog, you'll probably know it's me, just from the name of the blog.
Okay. Anything else?
Twitter, Facebook.
Oh,
I guess not. I guess not, because my brain was like, nah, dude. Everything else is just an extension.
Your brain farted, dude.
Yeah. Unless I make a Patreon, which, not yet. If the Tumblr thing succeeds, then I'll make a Patreon. See?
Yeah,
See,
I mean, I don't want to...
That's what you do. You gotta see if things succeed first.
Yeah, I don't want to think about I'm not thinking about a Patreon just yet.
Exactly.
You know, when I get a lot more subscribers,
exactly.
if I ever get up to, you know, say the number of subscribers like say what Game Theory has, then yeah, I'll definitely think about a Patreon. But
well,
now,
I don't know if you need that many to get a Patreon successful.
But no, I'm not gonna.
But definitely, like when you're exactly that's why I'm like, are people like, you're gonna do it? I'm like, when I have more people.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Anyway, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube. Double RPG Reviews. That's Double RPG and capital R on reviews.
2 R's and a PG.
Yes, and then they're capitalized, and the first letter of reviews, or first letter in reviews, the R is capitalized as well, and it's all in one word. You can find me there on Facebook and Twitter, and you can also find me on YouTube at Double RPG Reviews. I do reviews, opinion piece videos, retrospectives, which I am doing one on the Final Fantasy retrospective right now, and I am currently working on footage for Final Fantasy IX, which I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, and Final Fantasy VIII as well. So be on the lookout for that coming. Hopefully, I want to try to aim to get that episode out for both 8 and 9, episode 6, as it's going to be either around late August or early September, or sometime before September 30th, because I actually want to get that finished before Final Fantasy 15 comes out, as I'm going to be spending a lot of time with that game before I get on with my next retrospective episode, which will be on Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2. So yeah, be on the lookout for episode 6 coming within the next 2 or 3 months. And, hopefully we'll have some more content on the Game Riffers coming for you all in the future, whether it be more work on Thousand Arms or even on more Rockin' Cats, or even do some more RTAs like this one. But who knows? Definitely be on the lookout for more content coming from us in the future, and coming on my YouTube channel in the future that you won't even find anywhere else. So, Jerry, thank you so much, or FighterXaos, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And we all hope that you enjoyed this episode today. And until next time, this is Double RPG.
FighterXaos.
And we would just like to say Godspeed and game on, gamers. Thank you all for watching and listening, and peace out!
Kanryo.